It's the Score North Twin Show. Baseball.
All right, welcome into the Score North Twin Show. Phil Mackey, former Twins beat writer. Judd Zulgad, Twins connoisseur dating back to the 1970s. Our Twins beat podcaster Declan is day 6 of being a father for the first time, taking some time off from the Score North Twin Show. Well, the Twins have taken time off from the season the last several months, so if the Twins are, although they did win 2 games in a row, and then they wound up losing last night. So
yeah, true.
But let's get into a batch here of the latest Twins news, because
anybody got any Twins news?
Yes, Judd. Yes, we do. Because there's a few interesting quotes just circulating around. I thought Gleeman did a great piece for The Athletic a couple days ago, just sort of detailing the attendance drop and what might be lurking ahead for this organization. But a shout out real quick here to Running Aces. Running Aces, just up 35 north edge of the Twin Cities, is a great place to bring your friend group. You could even ride solo to Running Aces. I used to do that back in the day and just play poker tournaments and spread limit games. But Running Aces is not your typical casino scene. Smoke-free, bright, energy-filled. Bingo returned this week. There's always something fun going on, whether it's dollar blackjack, poker games. Bingo is back. Trivia multiple days a week. Coming up here, let's see, in October, they've got comedy shows firing back up. Tickets $25 for general admission for upcoming comedy shows. You can find out more information about Running Aces at runaces.com. That's runaces.com. And by the way, if you're coming into town, maybe you're coming into town for an upcoming Wolves game that's firing up in Minneapolis here in a few weeks, or maybe a Vikings game, or for next season a Twins game. Right next to Target Field is a great little hotel called Element Hotel, just steps away from the ballpark in the heart of the North Loop. Element Hotel is a Westin hotel by Marriott. Beautiful views, great location. Numerous restaurants and breweries in the North Loop, and they provide a complimentary breakfast, 24-hour fitness center, great Wi-Fi. You can go to scorenorth.com/element for a 15% room rate discount. That's scorenorth.com/element for a 15% room rate discount. Shout out to Element.
Anybody got any Twins news?
Why, yes. Yes, we do.
I've asked that twice now.
Well, the only other one we have is this one.
Is that Twins news about the pole ad selling?
And the answer is going to be no for the foreseeable future.
I like that question. That's a good question. Inquiring minds would like to know if they could revisit that.
Yeah. So the first topic of discussion here is Royce Lewis's future. And I'll read some quotes here from The Athletic down in Arlington this week. But the question here is, and I'm shocked that this is even a question that needs to be asked, but what Royce is saying and just the general temperature of the organization, it is worth asking, will Royce Lewis be back with the Twins in 2026? Mm-hmm. He's under team control. He's not very expensive. He's not set to be a free agent for like 3 more years or whatever it is. So The Athletic was talking to him about his swing, which he drove in a run last night. The swing has been coming around at the end of the season here. And Royce said, it feels a lot better. I'm at 100+ games and finding my swing late, which is exciting going into the offseason, especially ending how I am right now. It feels really good to be healthy, too. He's stealing bases. Those are the 2 main things. Try to find the swing, get back to where I was, and then go to the offseason healthy so I can build off that. And Royce, even though he's been fighting some swing stuff and he's been uncomfortable since June 3rd, and there was a little mini hamstring injured list stint in here, but since June 3rd, 81 games, so exactly half a season, and he's batting .266, .309 on base, not great, but certainly passable, and a .441 slugging percentage, which would put his OPS above league average, 12 home runs over those 81 games, 49 RBI. So all of this over 81 games while fighting some injuries, fighting his swing, feeling, according to him, like he's not getting much help from maybe the staff or they're not connecting well on whatever they're talking about. But if you double that to a full season, all right, well, even in kind of a down period, he's pacing for like 25 jacks and 100 RBIs and like an above average OPS. So, okay, you'd live with that as the floor for Royce. But here's where I get confused, Judd. The article continues, and this is not a rip on the article. It's a rip on the temperature of the organization right now. Regardless of what the Twins do with Royce Lewis this offseason, Royce Lewis's improved play is a good development for all parties involved. But whether he fits with the Twins' future is something Lewis and a number of his teammates can't help but consider. So there's like chatter among Royce and some of the other young players about, are we going to be here next year? Are you going to be here next year? And of course, in the absence of leadership stepping in and providing some concrete answers to some of the key players of the organization, I would think if you are, whether you're owner Joe Pohlad or whether you are Derek Falvey, if you believe Royce Lewis and other players who might be questioning their status with the organization, if you believe they are key parts of your future, well, the good leadership move would be to let them know in the face of all this uncertainty, hey, I know this looks a little chaotic right now, but here's our vision. Here's where you're a big part of it, right? Mm-hmm. So Royce said, quote, you have to pick and choose who you want to build around. And I think there's plenty of options. We have to improve the team somewhere, and we have depth, especially in positional groups. I don't know what's going to happen. No one does. I'm just taking it all in and enjoying my time with my teammates right now, because you don't know who's coming back, what's going to happen. If we're all back, great. But if not, then you just want to spend the time with teammates, basically.
Yep.
What do you make of the uncertainty surrounding whether Royce is going to be a Twin next year?
This goes back to, I think it was the post game of the Cleveland game, the last home game on Sunday, when Royce talked about this. And basically he was talking, it sounds like, to the beat reporters then, and he brought up being traded. And they're like, whoa, hold on a second here. What are you talking about? And he said, you just don't know. I think this has a lot to untangle. Okay. So first of all, the Twins are a mess. They're not well run. They've allowed this kid, and look, he's a kid, 26, but he's still a young man. And he definitely, I would say, there are some places where he could show more maturity. But at the end of the day, he's the number 1 overall pick in his draft. He should be a cornerstone guy. Like this is all on the Twins. I'm not going to blame the player. This is all on the Twins. But the other thing that I can't help but thinking as I hear this is, and I don't blame these guys, I think a lot of them want out. I think, why would you want to be part of this mess? And if you're Joe Ryan, what incentive do you have to want to stay here? If you're Royce, you're 26. You've got no help as far as you're concerned. Now, the Twins would, of course, say, no, he has gotten help. But the Twins are not, at this point in time, trustworthy to answer that question. So I think what I'm hearing more is uncertainty, yes, about their future. But what I keep coming back to is how many of these guys are basically saying, hey, you know what? I'd rather go. I'd rather go to a team that has a competent structure. I'd rather go to a team like you literally traded 10 players from your roster in essentially 96 hours. Yeah. And you've done nothing to help yourself. You've operated in a way, both business-wise and baseball-wise, that makes zero sense. So I wonder if this isn't Royce also with a bit of wishful thinking. Hey, if I could go to the West Coast, I wouldn't mind that. I'm from there, right? Yeah. And so I don't know how much of this is Royce really questioning, and I'm sure part of it is, what his future is in the Twins' eyes. But I also think there's a very good case to be made that if you're Royce, if you're Joe Ryan, if you're a guy with upside, that you're saying, I don't want to be part of this. Like, I don't even know what you're doing. I don't even know what you're doing. So the frustration that we've been expressing on this show now for months, for the last few months, I think very much is festered and is an issue in the clubhouse. And on that one, I don't blame the players one bit. This season has been mismanaged in every way. That's not a shot at Baldelli. That's a shot at everybody. Has been mismanaged in every way, as much as you can possibly mismanage a team. So to piggyback off that, if you're Royce Lewis or you're Joe Ryan and you are, for Joe, you're like 2 years away from a big payday if you keep healthy and performing this way.
And Royce, if he can stay healthy and perform at peak Royce level, is also at some point in line for a big payday too. I think if you're trying to figure out as a 26-year-old, 28-year-old professional athlete, what do I want to do for the next 5 or 8 years, whatever I have left. Also knowing that you might only have 1 or 2 cracks at a big life-changing contract. And I think you're probably weighing 3 main factors, whether you're looking at the Twins or if it's someone from a different organization or a different sport even. I think you'd like to think that winning is the most important factor. I think it's, especially if you haven't been paid yet, I think it's money is number one. And I know fans sometimes hate to hear that, but if you're putting out a checklist, if you're 26 years old, like what is the most important thing for you to maximize over the next 7 to 8 years? It'd be nice to use my God-given abilities as a freak athlete to make $100 million and set up multiple generations of my family, right? So I would say priority number 1 is money. Priority number 2, then I think, is winning in culture. And then I think priority 3 would be location, city, and just like where you're going to be spending the majority of your time. How do you feel like if you're Royce and you're weighing those 3 things, if you're Joe Ryan and you're weighing those things, or you're an outside player and you're weighing these things, where do the Twins rate among 30 Major League Baseball teams, ownership groups, cities, etc., in terms of ability for players to maximize themselves financially, ability to maximize the chances to win and or play in a great culture that could lead to winning at some point, even if you're not ready right now. And then like location, city, I love the Twin Cities. You've been a lifelong Twin Cities guy as well. But there's players that come from California or Puerto Rico or different parts of the world that you might choose Miami or Los Angeles and sacrifice a little bit of winning because you just want to live in LA, right? Not many people are sacrificing money or winning because they want to live in Minneapolis or St. Paul if they come from outside here, right? So like, the Twins aren't going to, you're not maximizing your financial future with the Twins above other teams. It doesn't look like you're maximizing your chances to win or play in a great culture. So I can see it from that perspective. If these players are, if the chatter is, I don't know if I want to be here. Do you want to be here anymore? What's your plan to get the hell out of here? I wouldn't be shocked at all if that is part of the clubhouse chatter.
And I think the way that you obviously maximize your value and get a huge contract is your development is helped by your team. Roy's getting no help. Who's getting help here? So like if I'm Royce and I'm saying, okay, I've got incredible talent. I need to stay healthy, but I also need an infrastructure that's going to help me. And the Twins can have all the bells and whistles that they want to think that they're doing that. But if they don't have the staff in place, and it sure as hell appears they don't, if I'm Royce, like one, I'd like to win and develop. And those things are going to get me a contract. But right now the Twins are doing nothing. And, again, nobody has told anybody, and I'm pretty sure the clubhouse too, nobody has told anyone what the plan is. Nobody knows what the plan is. Is Rocco, so if Rocco gets blown out, if you're Royce, are you saying, okay, it's Rocco? Or are you probably saying, yeah, Rocco's part of the problem, but the problem goes up to Falvey, and he's going nowhere. The poll ads have now gone into complete hiding. I mean, when they pulled the team off the market, Joe Pollad individually, it sounds like, without cameras, called to or agreed to talk to the main B people. That's all he's done. So he basically had talking points there. So why would you want to be here? Like, here's a question closer to home for us. Why would you want to be a Twins fan right now?
Wow.
Why?
Nostalgia and whatever sliver of hope there would be for things to get better in the future, right?
Yeah, but the incompetence, like I've got the sports dad brains got 87 and 91, and they ain't going anywhere. Yeah. But the level of incompetence that we are witnessing here, like, why would you, if you're going to pick if you've liked the Twins, and by the way, this is no fun. They're playing meaningless games, and it's just a slog to the finish. And meanwhile, you got these races, right? I mean, baseball's a great sport, but it's not great when you're in a market where you are watching a team that has no clue what it's doing.
Dude, did you see? So Cal Raleigh hit 2 more home runs to become the 7th player ever to hit 60 home runs in a season. Mm-hmm. And I didn't watch the game, but I saw clips of the 60th home run. Seattle, a comparable market size. I lived there for 2 years. It's probably the most similar market in a lot of different ways to Minneapolis, St. Paul. Size, fans, just people, everything, even weather to some extent. And it is a packed T-Mobile Stadium. They've already clinched a playoff spot. People are just like there to celebrate the last week of the regular season, gearing up for the playoffs, watching Cal Raleigh chase 60 home runs. This crazy, raucous environment, bumping into October. Not a big, huge market, but a team that is regularly savvy and aggressive and also maximizing young. Dude, Cal Raleigh has been a good player, but he's like crescendoing his development into his, what is he, 26? 20. He's not that old, right? What is he, 27? I'm going to look this up real quick.
That I don't know.
I was so jealous watching that last night, the highlight of it. Cal Raleigh is he's 28 years old, and he was a third-round pick by the Mariners in 2018 out of Florida State. And he has become one of the greatest development stories really in like modern baseball history because he is quite possibly the greatest hitting catcher over if you take the 3-year sample and this year that we've seen in the last 15 years. And then Milwaukee, watching Milwaukee across the border just get ridiculously hot. They lose key players over the years because they are a mid-market team and they're not able to just pay everyone and spend $250 million on payroll. So Milwaukee finds ways, ground level from a scouting perspective. They've had really good leadership in that front office over the past 10 years or so. And there's been some changes, but you watch these comparable, it's not just the Yankees and the Dodgers and these unattainable big markets. It's teams to your left and your right that are kind of your size market or smaller in Milwaukee's case, just being better operationally and have a better connection with their fan bases.
I believe the Brewers and the Guardians actually have lower payrolls than the Twins do.
The Guardians too. Yeah, the Guardians, man.
So like those are, and you know what? To go back to it, Cleveland, you stole Derek Falvey in 2016 from Cleveland. The pitching pipeline is it's like oil. You've struck oil. The pitching pipeline is about to open up with all of these prospects. Thud. And so the frustrating thing too, and where the incompetence gets me is this. All right. So yes, the Brewers to me are like the gold standard right now because they play the game. First of all, they have a management team and a manager who saw how the game was starting to change back in some ways and said, let's maximize this. Let's maximize running the bases, being smart. If we have to bunt, we have to bunt. We're going to find ways to win games. But the other thing, and this is Derek Falvey too, president of the team. So president of business operations, right? And you've referenced this before. Colorado Rockies are awful. They are a complete dumpster fire. But what do? They have found a way to business-wise say, okay, we're not good. Let's find a way to get people in our ballpark and make it fun. Mm-hmm. The Twins, meanwhile, are not doing that either. So, like, what would you say you're doing here?
Yeah, you're right. It's just a multi-level failure. It is the total system failure quote from Jim Pohlad. Talking to Chip Scoggins. By the way, the Guardians, my quick research, I believe the Guardians have a .535 winning percentage since Derek Falvey took over the Twins operation. So the Guardians are averaging 87 wins per season since they lost Derek Falvey, with 5 division titles. This will be their 6th playoff appearance. They just took the lead in the division last night by beating Detroit again, helping to not complete yet, but now one of the great comebacks in the history of the Guardians. Oftentimes accelerate down the stretch and find a way to get better in the face of injuries and adversity. The Twins wilt 3 of the last 4 years, just absolutely. Oh, there's a couple injuries. We're gonna play at a 100 loss pace now for the next 2 months. Mm-hmm. The Guardians have also had, if they can get 4 more wins this week, which they might get to 90 wins again. They had 92 last year, 92 in 2022. They were in the pandemic year where they only played 60 games. They were actually pacing for closer to like 100 wins. 93 wins in 2019, 91 in 2018. They've won 90 games way more often than they've been bad since Derek Falvey left Cleveland, and they've been better overall by head and shoulders than the Twins since 2017. So it clearly wasn't like a huge loss for them back in 2017.
No.
And it obviously hasn't been the huge gain that we thought it would be for the Twins.
And just like the Brewers, it's not like they keep guys. They trade guys. They trade guys and they continue, but what do? They continue to draft and develop really well, or they make great trades and get a young player or two back who contributes. That to me is such an indictment too. Like that's how you win, right? That's how you win of the teams that operate like the Twins operate. Look at this, okay? You've got Cleveland for sure. That's one. Milwaukee for sure. They're not going to be a playoff team this season. But how often have the Tampa Bay Rays been super competitive?
Yeah. Well, they have a better record by 10 games than the Twins do this year. So even in a year where neither of those teams is making the playoffs, well, one of them is going to like at least flirt with 500 despite having the fourth lowest or lowest payroll, second lowest payroll.
And Cleveland, to their credit, Emmanuel Clase, their closer, has been basically thrown out of the game. That is like if you took Cleveland and the Twins and apples to apples said Duran's off the Twins, which he clearly is, and Clase is off the Guardians, which he is, okay? And guess what? Cleveland said, okay, we're going to find a way still.
Yeah.
The Twins just traded them.
We will persevere. Yeah. So, there's another, let's get to this other story here because, it's...
Anybody got any Twins news?
I think it's just kind of a glimpse into the organization here. After we shout out North American Banking Company, helping to power the Score North Twin Show. North American Banking Company launched in 1998, Minnesota-based since 1998, 6 locations across the Twin Cities. And they're very invested in the Twin Cities. In fact, Bilski over there, big Gopher supporter. I was in his office, I don't know, like 10 months ago. And he was showing me some of the awesome just Gophers related memorabilia. So it's a bank based in Minnesota where you can actually speak to the owner of the bank. Has an office in the Roseville location, and personal relationships, cutting edge online tools. So if you're looking for a better banking experience, go to nabankco.com/Mackey to learn more. That's nabankco.com/Mackey. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. And also, if you're snacky this weekend, looking ahead toward Twinsless October baseball, Green Mill Pizza is going to be your friend in the freezer section, the pizza section of your local grocer. That iconic Minnesota Green Mill restaurant brand and that tavern-style pizza, Extreme Supreme, hand-tossed pepperoni. You can find those now in the freezer, including soft breadsticks and sauces, also available at your local grocer. You can learn more at greenmillfoods.com.
Anybody got any Twins news?
Yes, we have more. Well, let's quick touch on Luke Keaschall is the latest young Twin. Just an awesome first full splash in the big leagues. And of course, he was removed from Tuesday night's game with a left thumb issue. He's going to undergo an MRI, or he did on Wednesday, and he has been ruled out for the last week of the season. In fact, the press release just came across. They just put him on the injured list for the last few games of the year, called up Deshaun Kersey Jr. But surgery is in play. Thumb surgery is in play for
that's great.
Luke Keaschall.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. How can the Twins ever get a really good young player up here who doesn't get hurt, who doesn't? And I'm not even blaming. Well, I am blaming them for some things. Now, Keaschall, I don't know if you saw this 2 nights ago. He did slide into second base oddly. I think he was trying to steal a base and caught his thumb on the bag, and it was clear something was wrong. That's a frustration. But I do have a quick question for you. I texted you this last night. I do have a quick question for you. Ryan Jeffers is coming off a concussion. He's been activated. That's great. I thought, okay, he's going on the road. He'll probably DH or something. He wants to come back. He can come back. He's a nice player. He was catching last night. Do you remember a guy named Joseph Patrick Maurer? Yeah. And we know for a fact, I'm not a doctor, And I know for a fact that the closer you suffer concussions, the longer it takes to recover. And by the way, concussions add up. So concussion 1 is not going to be as bad as concussion 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And Ryan Jeffers is catching last night. Okay, let me go through this mental checklist. And as I tweeted this too, I'm not being a great humanitarian here. So I'm not like worried about Ryan Jeffers at the age of 68, okay? I'm just talking from a common sense baseball standpoint of a guy that you want to be healthy on day 1 of spring training. Mm-hmm. Going through my mental checklist here. The Twins, let's see what their record is. Oh, it's awful. The Twins have been eliminated from playoff contention for how long? The Twins have no reason to allow Jeffers to catch. And I got notes back about, well, are you not going to allow him to catch again? I will repeat this again. The closer concussions are suffered together. And by the way, foul tips, Joe Mauer, the worse it is. Christian Vasquez just came back as well. Now, he came back from an infection that sounded very dangerous, but he can catch, and he is catching. Why would you allow Ryan Jeffers to catch?
Yeah. It is a very fair question. It is the Mauer example is a close to home one from 10 years ago. Justin Morneau, I didn't hear this part of the broadcast, but just people that caught it, Morneau had career derailing concussion issues back in 2010, 11. And I think he was providing some context about, listen, they put him through some extra Jeffers. They put through some just extra more voracious testing, and Jeffers really wanted to just come back. Sometimes pitchers do this where they just want to be able to get back, show that they're fine, show themselves that they're fine, and then you go into the offseason. But I'm with you on this one. This isn't like, my hamstring's good enough to play for a couple weeks.
Right.
The concussion stuff is next level, and considering what happened to Joe Mauer, but not that Jeffers is comparable to Joe Mauer, really, but it is an example from a decade ago that altered a guy's career. So I think if you really trusted the Twins operation, like that they really know what they're doing, they like with Kevin O'Connell on the Viking side, we're having this big quarterback debate about what should they do, Wentz, McCarthy, how healthy does McCarthy need to be? And generally, as Mike Greenberg said, Greeny was on Purple Daily yesterday, Kevin O'Connell's built up enough trust where if he makes a decision about the quarterback, you can poke at it, but he's been right a lot about quarterbacks, right? The Twins have been wrong a lot about a lot of things. So I don't come into the Jeffers thing or many things when it comes to a big Twins decision and think I'm going to give the Twins the benefit of the doubt right now. So it is a fair question in that regard.
And you're eliminated. And I understand Justin's point, but here's where I have a bone to pick. Catching is the number one. Like if you're talking about uncontrollables that can lead to concussions, like Ryan Jeffers can say, I'm fine, I feel great, I'd like to catch. He can't control a foul tip. Yeah. So like, and in Justin's case, when he came back, if he said, okay, I'd like to play first base, I'd be like, okay, yeah, first base is fine. You might get hurt, but odds are with you. But catching is like, it's not, again, not like I'm an expert. I don't understand the thinking on any level. Level.
How about some DH plate appearances just to get a little feel, just hit a little double into the gap, feel good going into the offseason.
I'm not advocating not playing him. I'm advocating not putting him in jeopardy. And athletes are never going, for the most part, to say, well, you're probably right, I shouldn't catch. Like there's got to be an adult in the room who says this is a bad idea.
There's sometimes I think you do get a little nervous about injuries, and I'll fight you on some of this stuff. I can't fight you on this. I agree. Last thing here, Aaron Gleeman just eviscerated the organization and the poll ads in his athletic column from a couple days ago. So we've touched on the attendance. It's been a main theme on this show. You could see it coming down the pipe from months ago that this is tracking to be the lowest attended Twins season since 2000 at the Metrodome. Mm-hmm. The Twins sold just over 1.7 million tickets. That's tickets sold, not bodies in the door, as Gleeman points out. So 1.7 million is about half of the tickets they sold the first 2 or 3 years of Target Field being open. The first 2 years for sure, they were over 3 million. I think it was like 3.2. I mean, they were like crushing it the first 2 years of Target Field. So The Athletic writes, in his final State of the Team address at the team's annual media luncheon before Twins Fest weekend, so back in January, Dave St. Peter, who was stepping down as full-time president, took to the podium in front of a room full of reporters and said, quote, "This year, our target is 2 million plus tickets." I think it was 1.8 a year ago. So they were going to jump after a year ago and the collapse and all the negativity. Dave St. Peter said, on behalf of the organization, "Our target is to go up in attendance back over 2 million. And it's my belief we can get there in 2025 and hopefully well beyond."
Yep.
Even in the moment, Gleeman writes, even in the moment, that hit every ear in the room as somewhere between wildly optimistic and utter fantasy. And once the season started, it became very obvious very quickly how far off those internal attendance projections would be this season. So I want to just drill down on this because Gleeman nails it. Just looking back and like, wait, you guys thought internally, you thought that more people, based on what happened going back to the fallout of the playoff season and then the collapse of last year and all the negative PR and et cetera, the only thing that would have spiked attendance over 2 million is poll ads selling the team before the season and then people jumping on board excited about the new direction of the franchise, whether that would have been warranted or not. It would have been a short-term sugar high. Mm-hmm. So my question is, what navigation system were they using internally to think to themselves, based on how fans felt about the organization going into the season, that, yep, we're gonna spike attendance by like 10% or whatever it is in 2025. How would you come to that conclusion internally?
Well, first of all, I would be interested to know who was in the room to come up with that. So like, and by the way, the guy who has to be counting his blessings is our friend Dave. Dave St. Peter has to be so happy he's not now part of this mess. But I would like to know who was in on that discussion. And like you said, you've got some good points. If the team had been sold in the spring, if and keep in mind the team was supposed to be very competitive. Like this was supposed to be, and I suppose that there was some projection that they were going to contend in American League Central that got off to a good start, but ultimately was still not a great division. So I get all of that, but the lack of a general feel overall for the fan base's feelings, attitude, whatever towards this team is so wildly off base. Like that's the thing. It's so wildly wrong. And I don't know, like, I think it starts with the poll ads. I don't know if they have plugged their ears and closed their eyes and done the la 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 la. Guys, there's problems. No, there's not. La 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 la. I don't know if that's the case or what. But yeah, there was an expectation this team was going to be good. So I can see a projection being, more optimistic than a season ago. But 2 million fans and to think that you were going to be back in the good graces. The other thing they didn't really account for, I feel like, was, when you put your product on a subscription tier, which I don't mind as a fan, I like it, but for the general public, you said you're gonna have to pay more for games. It feels like they thought, well, people are going to love this because it's no blackouts. Well, that's a good argument. But the other thing that they didn't talk about was it's also not as easy to find them now. Like on my Comcast, they're on channel 1261. Say what you will about FanDuel, and I actually think Twins TV is a superior product. But how many people are going to 1261 to find a team that they largely checked out on a year ago? It just, the reality that this team that's real and where this team operates are so vastly different. And it feels like, Phil, that has only grown through the course of the summer.
Also, throughout the history of baseball attendance, and the Twins attendance reflects this very strongly over 40 years, there's always like a year delay. So when they won the World Series in 1987, they drew 2 million fans. The year after they won the World Series, they drew 3 million fans because people get excited during the season and then want to be part of it. Then it trickles and spills over into the next year, right? 1991, The year that they won the World Series, their attendance was 2.2 million. The year after, it was 2.5 million. So they go up again. And it was kind of the same so 2023, they did 1.9 million attendance. And they were kind of flat into 2024. And my guess is the walk-ups weren't that great the last like month and a half of the season, but they were kind of flat coming off the excitement of 2023. And the reason why it didn't spike is because they immediately ran into a self-inflicted PR mess by stripping the payroll and talking about right-sizing the business. And so the fans then responded to all of that going into the 2025 season by attendance dropping 2,000 or 3,000 fans per game and a couple 100,000 for the season. So going into next year, unless there is some crazy PR flex coming or big influx of free agent spending, which, spoiler, isn't happening, it's very, very likely that they see another drop before they can think about, like another drop in attendance before they can think about going back up.
I think the Poleads announcing that they are going to retain ownership, or I should say majority control, and that they're going to bring in some limited investors who we still, by the way, have no idea. I don't know there is anything that they could do in the coming months now before spring training to really drive sales at all. It feels like the Polead thing to me was they came off the top rope with, oh, you're sort of mad at us now? Here's an elbow to the face. Yeah. And now it's apathy. So I mean, if I was to draw a line of, okay, where does this feel it's like? I would say we are trending towards or going into the heart of Timberwolves at their most incompetent.
It feels that way.
We're just empty. It's empty, and you can go to Cub, and if you buy a quart of milk, you get a couple tickets.
Yeah, they were literally, the Timberwolves were literally giving tickets away and couldn't get near sellouts for a few years.
The bottom bowl was empty half the time.
I know. So, all right, well, there's your very optimistic tone of Twins news.
Anybody got any Twins news?
So we'll see. The season will come to an end this weekend, and then I think we can do a lot of forward-looking, how would we fix certain things and handle certain things about the organization starting next week. We can do a little Monday episode, and we'll have plenty in the off season. This show, just because the Twins have kind of gone away in terms of their connection with fans and the games being played, this show is not going away. We appreciate you guys. And on behalf of Declan, who's done a great job spearheading the Score North Twin Show and the new YouTube channel a year and a half ago, click that like button and the subscribe button. And we'll see you guys next time here on the Score North Twin Show.